Hi everyone, I'm Heather Wen, a retired nurse practitioner and the founder and practitioner at Arizona Healing Alternatives. On this channel, you'll find several videos, what I like to call aha moments, where we'll be discussing issues that impact your health. So whether you decide to use Western medicine, alternative medicine, or even a mix of both, I'm passionate about you knowing what your options are. For today's aha moment, we're going to be talking about 3 of the most common questions that I get, and they're excellent questions that you should be asking any practitioner. So stay tuned. So some of the most common questions I get, and they're wonderful, which is why I wanted to make this video. They should be asked of really any practitioner. So the 3 that I'm thinking of is, first of all, people ask, so how long is it going to take for me to get results in what we're doing? So important. Second one is usually, well, if something gets fixed, then how long does that fix last? Is it permanent? Do you just have to do it once? What do you do with that? And the third one is, and if you're fortunate enough, which I've been so grateful for this, that when people do get results, then they're like, oh my gosh, how soon can you see my aunt, my uncle, my friend, my sister, my spouse, whatever it is? How soon can you see them? Okay, well, let's go through each one of those separately because they all have different sort of answers. So the first one is, how long is it going to take for me to get results with the particular healing method that you use? And for me, it's either going to be the Total Body Modification or Applied Kinesiology to do that, hypnosis sessions, there's spiritual guidance sessions. How long does it take? Well, let's go with the most common one, which is the Applied Kinesiology. So in the video, which explains all of the stuff that I do, the energy medicine or woo-woo video, and the link will come up to that, one of the sections about total body modification, I talked about with the muscle testing that Viktor Frankl was a chiropractor. And so he was also a DO and he was a naturopath, all sorts of different things. I can't imagine what degree he didn't have. Basically, he was the founder of Total Body Modification, which is the applied kinesiology that I do. Well, in that, he taught us non-chiropractors how to do some very gentle aligning. I do not do full-on spinal manipulation, but he taught us how to do some gentle aligning, and part of it is using theories from acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So what I always tell people is, I tell people I'm looking for the body there's got to be some kind of change. So what I tell people in my particular practice is I want to give it about 3 one-hour visits to see if there's any change. If there isn't any change, and it could be that we're after condition A, but condition A isn't solved yet in 3 visits, but all of a sudden other things are improving in the body, other things are changing, even like sleeping better or energy feels better or whatever it is. So I always tell people, if in 3 one-hour sessions, I always say, don't tell me what I want to hear, tell me what is. If things aren't any different and I'm not seeing any change at all, then I'm going to be very skeptical about continuing. And that was in that video that I talked about, where sometimes people with a practitioner a very long time and they're not seeing any change at all. All right. Well, for me, I have had some patients argue with me and say, no, please, Heather, let's try like a 4th or 5th time, please, oh please. And my patients, I tell people this, they teach me stuff every day. And sometimes I'll let it go on for another visit or 2. But if I'm not seeing anything by that point, then really it means that this particular method of healing isn't going to help this particular body, because I'm not a person that believes that one way of healing, and you've heard this on all my other videos, that one way of healing suits all bodies. That doesn't make any sense to me any more than if I lined up 6 people and they all had a headache and I gave them all Tylenol, the Tylenol would work for everybody. I just don't see that as the case, but some people feel differently, but that's how I feel. So in any practitioner that you're seeing, you want to ask them that question. Well, how long would it take to get results? Okay, that is a really important question to ask. And what was so funny was I did have a case where somebody that they were getting better in other areas, but the whole reason they came in hadn't improved. And in this particular medicine, what I love is that you get the computer programmed, and this is explained in that video, that you get the computer programmed, and then the stuff keeps running over time, and the body sort of fixes itself in the order it wants to, not necessarily in the order I want it to. So I did have somebody say, well, Heather, I'm going to take a break for a while because, I'm feeling better, but I still haven't gotten rid of the particular condition I came in with. I'm like, yay, you need to do that. Take a break. And it's so funny, about 8 months later, that person texted me and said, you're not going to believe this. I didn't do anything different, and that condition finally resolved. So sometimes it does take time. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to consistently come back to me. But in other professions, you can't have one acupuncture treatment and expect things to go away. It takes a while for the body to get into the condition that it's in. So it's like peeling an onion sometimes. And along the lines of sort of peeling the onion theory, right, is that also we have to remember that it took a while for the body to get in the condition that it's in. So sometimes it's going to take a while for it to deal with all the issues, whether it's in my practice, alternative practices, anything like that. It can take a while for that body to respond, but there should be signs of getting better along the way versus no change at any time. So very important, patience, because in Western medicine we know sometimes you can take a pill and it goes, like a headache can go away in an hour. However, that may or may not be dealing with the root cause of something. So sometimes we do have to be patient, but my rule of thumb is as long as you're seeing some kind of difference or change, it means the body's working on it. It just may take some time. But always ask that practitioner, whether they're a Western practitioner, alternative practitioner, as to how long will this take, or when should I start seeing results? That's really, really important. The second thing that's really important is to ask, okay, especially when I'm doing, let's say it's back pain, or let's say it's something where the rib torque is off or something like that, then people always ask me, well, how long is that going to stay? And what I ask them to do is to let me know how long it stays. Specifically with chiropractic, what you'll notice is if the body's been holding itself out and in funny positions, when you put it back into a specific position, which is more in alignment, the body's going to go, well, wait a minute, I'm not used to this, and it may have more aches and pains. I want to go back over here. So it takes a little while, but what should happen, and what I tell people in my practice, is things should hold unless you're doing something and you get an injury or you lift something funny or do something like that. What should happen is eventually over time, they should stay in longer and longer and longer, to the point where you're almost on maintenance. You see your chiropractor or your acupuncturist or your naturopath or whatever, and you don't have to see them so frequently. So that's something that I always encourage people to ask, is how long is that going to stay? And especially in some of the corrections that we do in Total Body Modification for allergies and stuff, once we do one correction in an allergy, you never have to go back. Now, there could be another way of coming at that same allergy. Let's say it's an allergy to cat hair or something like that. Once you've done it, you've done it. So it's not like allergy shots that you have to keep coming back. There may be another method, like maybe 2 at most, that you would do. But then if it's not resolving with that, you have to look at other possibilities or other things. And that's what's so funny about Viktor Frankl's famous theory, is that you never have what you've got. That we think A is connected to B, that this is what's causing allergies, but it really could be connected to Z, which is the fun part about what I do. But with any practitioner, you want to find out those very, very important questions, number 1 and number 2, which is how long is this going to stay? And there can be some times when that practitioner may not know, because we don't know how long that's going to stay. I can't tell you, oh, it's going to stay an hour, a week, whatever. It just depends. But overall, over time, the body should start healing and correcting itself, especially in alternative medicine stuff. So, and that's the same thing with any medication. What is this supposed to do? What is it, what is it supposed to be doing? How long is it supposed to last? When should I start to feel better? So even in Western medicine. And the last one is when things are going really well. I oftentimes have people, which is such an honor, but I oftentimes have people want to drag in their significant other, their friends or family, which is wonderful. I mean, the practice is built on referrals and things like that, so I'm so grateful. But what I always tell people is that it's okay, especially when I do, it's okay to be skeptical, because I still am to this day. It's okay to be skeptical, but when it comes to specifically muscle testing, and this is not the same with all other practitioners and stuff, because that's great. You want to send people, this is great, this is how people have successful practices. But specifically in muscle testing, I always tell people don't drag someone in, because it's okay to be skeptical. I'm okay with that. But muscle testing, and that's something that I discussed also in that video, you can't break down someone else's defenses. So you can't just muscle test somebody and break down the defenses and get them to deal with an issue. That's really what I tell people, is a person has to at least be open to trying something. They don't have to believe in it, but they have to be open to even looking at issues or looking at things in their life. And if they're not willing to do that, then a lot of the emotional reprogramming work or other things are not going to be very successful. That's different from being skeptical, because as you know in that video, I was completely skeptical and it worked, so it kind of remove the placebo effect. So with that, once again, those are 3 very important things to cover with any practitioner. The third one is wonderful in referring people in, but it's also, like I said, does that person really have to believe in it? It depends, because to me, I don't care what medicine it is, you know, if it's not placebo effect, if all of a sudden you didn't believe it would work and it works anyway, which is what happened to me. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Please feel free to hit subscribe button, the likes, leave comments in the comments section, and that notification bell so that if videos come up of this kind, you'll be notified. Thank you so much. Good luck with any practitioner that you pick, but ask those basic questions. Have a good one.